a kind of business opportunities or the ESCO market, I can say, in the form of Energy Efficiency Service Limited, ESL, whether it is LED program, whether it is National Motor Replacement Program, even Super Efficient Air Conditioner Program, the BLD, the Super Efficient Fan Program, all are the result of the standard and labeling program, and that is where it is built upon. The second one is the creation of the energy cadres, the professionals. And I think that was the very, very positive step which was provisioned under this act, and that was have been successful. Probably few people may not agree that the way these auditors, energy auditors or managers should have been treated or should have been given the opportunities as far their professionalism is concerned, that has not been taken care of. But yes, that gives a food for thought to discuss, deliberate, and debate on how this can be properly. But the market is very quite wide open. The energy efficiency investment market is somewhere between 20 to 25 billion dollars, and we are somehow at $2 or $3 billion right now. So there are the sectors are there, the opportunities are there, and there is a massive opportunity of this professionals to be effectively utilized. And I'm sure with the Bureau of Energy Efficiency and the state designated agencies who have the authority to look into this aspect, they may definitely see this. The third point I can say is the widespread awareness creation on the energy efficiency. This is also it's a very, very big aspect if you just read through the Energy Conservation Act, whether it at the national level in the form of recognition, awards, and all these things. But this is not just a one-time act. One-time activity, but it is a continuous activity to be done. And the awareness creation at various facets of the consumers on various sectors, whether it is end users, whether it is the manufacturers, whether it is in the financial institutions who are providing the investment opportunities for the ESCOs and lenders. So I think the awareness creation has become a important aspect to the entire entire Energy Conservation Act, and I'm sure we have been successful in many of these areas. The last point I would, because the other panelists who may be speaking, the third last point I would make it here is the institutionalization. The institutionalization, if you just see, even after 20 years, still the Energy Conservation Act is being moved through a centralized manner. A single organization sitting in Delhi has to manage the entire thing. And the way we are growing, the way the activities are growing, the way expectation of the various stakeholders are growing, it is extremely difficult actually to go into that manner. Whether if you see the similar kind of organization, whether it is Bureau of Indian Standards or the Central Pollution Control Board, they have decentralized the institutional structure in a much larger way. And it is the right time, and the Central Ministry, Ministry of Power, of course, my line ministry, we have to think whether we have to at least may not be in all states, but at least to the regional things. And many people may not agree with the point that the enforcement mechanism in the what is provisioned under this act, that cannot be possible unless otherwise we have a very comprehensive, robust ecosystem in place as far as institutionalizations are concerned. So I'll stop it here and let us listen to the other panelists and come back to you again for any question and answers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now I invite Mr. Sunil Sood, a mechanical engineer graduated from Manit, Bhopal, and has 43 years of experience in HVAC air pollution control. He is presently working as Director of LCG Energy Consultants. I welcome you, sir, to address the gathering.
Good evening, eminent fellow panelists and eminent participants. this year I am going to complete 30 years in this field of energy conservation and efficiency. 30 years ago, I had got the first assignment of conducting energy audit study through Madhya Pradesh Urja Vikas Nigam. So it is a great coincidence that I have been invited to share my thoughts, and I am very happy to have been given that respect and opportunity. So, actually, this conservation and efficiency has been in my blood right from the 30 years. It has gone into my DNA, and more I have been thinking about it. More, it was it went into my blood. So 91 to 95, I did lot of energy audit studies through MPUVN as well as through on my own. And we used to think that such a nice concept of energy audit, why this has not been made mandatory? Why our profession is not a recognized one like chartered accountants or other professions? So we used to think then we used to also I was also impaneled with Energy Management Center, Delhi, as an energy auditor. The Energy Management Center at that time was also having many schemes, voluntary schemes, and they were promoting energy audits and other schemes, especially related to implementation. So at that time, Energy Management Center was headed by one Dr. Bhaskar Natarajan. I happened to meet him in 94, 90, 93, 94, and even I had actually applied for a position in the Energy Management Center, and but it actually the interview never materialized. So at that time, a lot of talk was going on that there is a need for a law because voluntary efforts are not resulting in the desired outcomes. So it was actually Dr. Bhaskar Natarajan who moved this proposal for a law. And sometime in 95, it was first initiated the law, and it took another 5 years to introduce this as a bill in the parliament in 2000 in the year 2000. And in the meantime, a lot of discussions off and on discussions were happening what should be included in the law, and we were expecting that after the law is passed we will have a institutional structure and recognition and all that. 2001, this day finally it was passed by the parliament, and we were we came to know in next few days that it has been passed, and we were all very jubilant that yes, now we will get some recognition. So this is how we all started, and but actually probably we had not understood the law fully, and we were thinking that as soon as the law is passed by the parliament, it will be enforced. But later on, slowly we realized that laws are passed in India somehow, but implementation really takes a lot of time. It is not so easy. So, firstly, it took 6 months for establishment of the Bureau of Energy Efficiency. So, from 29th September to 1st March 2002, once the BE was established, then only actually real implementation started. Because we Indians, we don't know the implementation of the laws, so we tend to have more hopes. As soon as any good law is passed, we think, now problems is solved. But what happens then? The implementing agencies and so other things also have certain handicaps. which we are not aware. Finally, anyway, after the establishment of the bureau on 1st March 2002, first Director General, Mr. Shekhar, he was a Ministry of Power official. He was also given a additional charge to look after BE. Actually, that was little bit first disappointment that there was no full-fledged Director General appointed in the first itself, and a additional charge was given. But we are expecting a lot to happen still, because it was directly under the Ministry of Power. And in 2004, an interview was announced for the position of Director General. I had applied at that time, but the interview was not held. And again, another official, Mr. V.S. Verma, was appointed as additional charge of the Director General. Finally, in the year 2006, first time a full-fledged Director General, Dr. Ajay Mathur, was appointed. And as Mr. Garnaik has already informed, really certain things have started happening from the time Dr. Ajay Mathur took over. Before that, many decisions were taken, of course, like starting of the certification examination and initiation of voluntary standard and labeling program and all that. So things started happening, and till then, the notification of designated consumers had not been done. Actually, as per the law, there were 15 sectors which were in energy intensive sectors as per the act, original act. But again, here we were thinking energy intensive means this all the list will be notified. But again, misunderstanding or whatever, actually only 8 sectors were notified. And then the criteria for notification was all again somehow, in my opinion, in the opinion of many, was not appropriate. But anyway, at least something started. And then because still there was no cadre of accredited energy auditors, so the mandatory energy audit were not still started. And then in between, in 2008, the then government announced one climate mission, and part of that climate mission was national mission for enhanced energy efficiency, NMEEE. So as a part of that NMEEE, actually the PAT was introduced under NMEEE, but this was later on regularized and put it under the act with through a relevant regulation. So from 2010, when the regulation for the accredited energy auditor were regularized after the amendment to the act in 2010, things started happening with mandatory energy audit and PAT and all things. So I feel for a country like India, where actually there are so many industries still left out, so many other consumers are still left out, there is a huge scope. And whatever cadre BE has created, there is a scope for engaging all those if a proper system is put in place. And IMP and other fellow members have given, BE friends members have given suggestions which were discussed with the Director General BE, and we are looking forward for more discussions and taking those suggestions forward. So this is what so far I would like to summarize, and later on we can discuss the way forward, and how best we can actually integrate the Energy Conservation Act in letter and in spirit with all other things. Actually, instead of talking only energy, we can now move over to sustainability, move over to linking with other aspects. So this is what I have in mind now. I will again share my thoughts as and when given opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now I invite Mr. Yogesh Chandra Gupta. He holds positions of Vice President of Delhi Chapter, General Secretary of Indian Association of Accredited Energy Auditor, and has completed his BTech from IIT BHC, Varanasi, India. PGDM Operation and Production Management from IMT, and so on. He has completed his PhD in Power Engineering. He is a certified energy manager, accredited energy auditor, chartered engineer, and so on, having 29 plus years of experience with various corporate manufacturing industrial association, academic, national projects under Ministry of Steel and Ministry of Commerce and Industry. He has been delivering his technical training for working professionals. I welcome you, sir, and it would be nice if you share your thoughts in the forum.
Ah, thank you, Soumya, for inviting me. And one thing to one and all, before I start, the thing is, as Mr. Nayak told and Mr. Sunil Sood has told, Mr. Sood is, of course, a veteran in the field of energy. And I also introduced to energy efficiency after ACT only, in fact. Before ACT, I was I was a maintenance officer in the ITC, and I was doing the energy conservation activities in within premise itself. So many things. So concern was there, but after the ACT was there, then the things got accelerated. And fortunately, I'm happy to share that I became certified energy manager before the BE has formed. That time, FICCI was conducting this exam, certified energy manager exam, 5-day course in association with the CIDA, Canadian Industrial Development Agency, and they run 12 batches for the purpose of this creating the energy professionals. So I was one of those, and then I worked in the FICCI for supporting. Even that time, I was going to, on behalf of FICCI, to be also for drafting of the different rules related with the acts, in fact, how to implement the things. Yes, that time was quite challenging. In fact, we were going to the industry. Hello, is there somebody? Hello. Yeah, we were going to the industries and making the awareness and sensitization to them that what is energy hurting, what are the advantages of the energy efficiency. Of course, this is the act which was in the interest of the industry and all the commercial places to save their money, but a lot of advocacy and convincing was required during that time. And wherever those time, some funded projects were running in India, funded projects by UNIDO and UNDP and all. The objective was those that let us sensitize the society, let us make them aware, first of all, that this is one of the tools which can make their operations lean, which can make them more efficient, which can enhance their profitability. And after 20 years also, still we are seeing that MSME requires still the same advocacy. So one point I would like to convey, and somehow I would like to convince B on that also, that so many actions has been taken. In fact, energy management professionals has been developed by certified energy manager and auditor exam from 2003 onward. Then 2005-6, I have seen that PAT kind of the scheme has been framed, and in 2009 I was one of the professionals who was teaching Form 1 filing to the designated consumers of the Punjab, and teaching them was like cracking a nut, you can say, because they were not convinced. the biggest advantage I have seen out of this fad is that it has sensitized our major energy consuming industries in the better way rather. And till the CO level, I have seen that time in 2009-10 that the corporate and organizations were not giving due importance to the energy. But later they realized that it is in their interest, it is saving a huge amount of money on and increasing their profitability. So then the big industries which were capable of, means they were having the competencies, technical as well as financial competencies. They started working themselves on the energy conservation options, energy saving options and opportunities. And then after 2010 amendment, of course, the PAT scheme has been enforced. And during initial cycles, we are quite active. In between, the standards and labeling activities have taken place. Lot of appliances, as on date, more than 20 appliances are having the star rating. And here I feel some like industrial equipments are still may not be availability of the standards, or a complex system for forming the standards are still behind that. Like in industries, as we all know that in industries, that is major chunk of energy is there, energy guzzlers are there. So if in case the major energy efficient equipments, yes, one way is there. Second thing is, as I quoted earlier, that MSME is contributing approximately 57% of the GDP, while somehow the things has left on that end, in fact. So MSMEs should be taken due care with the appropriate support for the technical competency enhancement as well as financial competency as an enhancement, in fact. So because MSMEs are not exactly backbone, but they are the supporting bone of the developing country like India. So they require not only, like they are struggling with their financial chunks and other priorities for compliance of other compliances and all those. So if in case Act little bit pointed out to enhance their technical competency as well as financial capability, then the things may accelerate much faster. Of course, in 20 years, so many things has been done. And simultaneously in 2007, ECBC has been brought. And then in 2017, the new version of ECBC has been brought. Because in 2007, after bringing that energy conservation building code, still the commercial building were not adopting, and the governments were not able to enforce because of some loose points in that, in fact. And second is, it is still almost impossible to impose the ECBC on the old infrastructure or old buildings, you can say. So of course, but this current act, ECBC Act, take care of the at least new buildings perspective and implementation, old building performance in all the way, you can say. So holistic approach is there. One more point which I observed should have been, if it should have been taken care, it would have accelerated the energy and efficiency enhancement activities in the country. That is, Mr. Ganayak also pointed out, that is extension of the hands. So basically, currently, extended arms of the BE for implementation of the act is SDS. But unfortunately, SDAs are not that much active what it should be, in fact. I had dealt with so many states. I had found the things are on the little back space or slow pace or something like that. So if that is done, and one more point I would like to highlight, of course, Act we had seen, and so many activities, so many improvements has come over there. And if the ESCOs can be provided with some kind of the protection of the laws, you can say, because in the developing country like India, ESCOs were struggling, and in our developed countries, if you see, most of the energy efficiency projects are performed by the ESCO mode, in the ESCO mode, you can say. So actually supporting the ESCOs by appropriate MNB protocol and appropriate law for protection of their interest, actually, the audit agency, because the auditors and audit agencies are not very well-to-do, I'll say, or not very financially strong companies. they require some support, in fact. And if that appropriate support is provided to this auditor and ESCOs, and actually right law is there to protect their interest, and MNV protocol for like deciding the fixing the game rule of the game, definitely ESL is doing very well as a super ESCO, because being part of the government body, they are able to enforce the things. Even they can bear with some losses also in some cases. While if we encourage the private entities as a ESCO or some small ESCOs, they are not in position to bear the losses. So some covering them will enhance the energy efficiency enhancement activities under the Act. I think 3-4 these points what I told is kind of a submission from my side. Of course, let us see. And about Act, I believe this is the energy auditors community, and accredited energy auditors are there. So most of us are familiar. So I would like to close my this time here itself, and then of course we'll discuss during the panel discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I invite Mr. Pradeep Kumar. He has completed BE Electrical and MBA and has 39 years of experience in the central government in the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. He has also worked in the Central Vigilance Commission. After taking VRS, he has contributed immensely to the energy conservation drive of the country and worked in various private sectors, and his field of experience includes design and maintenance of electrical services, including energy audit. He was one-time secretary and two-time president in IAEMP. I welcome you, sir, and it would be nice if you share your thoughts in the forum.
Thank you, Soumya. Good evening, everyone. It's an honor to me to be present in this August gathering on the occasion of 20 years of the EC Act. About the energy conservation, a lot of things has been told by Garnayak sir, Anil sir, Sood sir, and Mr. Yogesh Gupta. So I will not talk much about that. I will just talk about the brief of the EC Act and its background according to my knowledge. As you all know, EC Act was enacted in the 29th September 2001 when we were celebrating 52nd year of Republic of India. Of course, it was made operational in the month of March 2002. What was the need for this act in India? I will talk briefly about that. Energy conservation is the call of great importance that we all know. The first oil shock of 1973 stirred up the industrialized countries of the world and steered them from the tire smugness of ceaseless oil flow. It made them face a distinct truth of the vulnerability in oil supply, rebuilding, and delicacy of the trade in oil. This was when numerous nations understood the dire requirement of the energy preservation. Remarkably, the rush of energy conservation had struck the India intelligentsia 3 years sooner, as Mr. Anil already told, when the Fuel Policy Committee was set up by the Government of India in 1970, which was finally bore natural products 3 decades henceforth in the form of enactment of the much anticipated Energy Conservation Act 2001 by Government of India. The growing population of India and consequent increase in consumption rate of energy resulted in the depletion of the natural resources, which you all know, which one gone cannot be born again in the same state. So in order to challenge the reality, the Government of India, though, the giving birth of the Energy Conservation Act 2001 to regulate the consumption of energy in India. In my, as per my knowledge, main objective of this act were to serve the efficient and effective use of energy and its conservation, give an approach, system, and direction to nation energy conservation activity, organize policies and programs on the effective utilization of energy with shareholders, build up framework and strategies to verify measures and monitor energy efficiency improvements in the private and public sector at an individual and national level, leverage the support of multilateral, bilateral, and private sectors to make into effect the Energy Conservation Act, show the energy efficiency delivery system through a public-private partnership, advance energy efficiency in the nation by adopting the innovative technology to plan, manage, and actualize energy conservation program as visualized in the Energy Conservation Act. This is briefly about the Energy Conservation Act as per my knowledge. So I will not talk much about any other thing because today is an EC Act day only. But lot of work needs to be done at ground level for implementation of the EC Act in its latter and spirit, for which we can discuss later in way forward. Over to you, Sobia.
Thank you, sir. On the list, here is Som Derashri, sir. He has completed his Bachelor of Engineering in Chemical Engineering with honors from BITS Pilani. His post-graduation in Industrial Engineering from NPC Chennai, and he's an alumni of IIM Ahmedabad. He's a fellow member of IIE and a chartered engineer. Over 25 years of industrial experience, he has served a lot, executed, and promoted various projects. I welcome you, sir.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. First of all, thank you very much for providing this platform to share my experience with about 2 decades of this Energy Conservation Act. Of course, my first exposure with the energy conservation was way back in 1988 when I had gone under the SIDA grant to Sweden for about 6 months to undergo a training on energy efficiency, and that was the big exposure. I find a lot of things which were done then have still not found light of the day in our country. But yeah, that is how the things goes. I think a lot has been already discussed about the Energy Conservation Act. There's no doubt about it that it has really created a good impact on creating awareness and also resulted in a lot of competitive technologies coming in, people trying different retrofits, etc., into the different industries. The past is that you cannot really improve much about it, but what is important now and how do we have a roadmap that should be taken up is what I'm going to really concentrate on. Couple of things which my earlier speakers have talked about is one is about the training of AEAs or energy auditors. The renewed program, we of course have undergone 5 years, renewal of training to continue your accreditation. But I think the kind of technologies exposure that we got was not of the good quality. Let me be very frank with you, whosoever was involved. You all know that what should have been done is now there are different sectors in the industry. There has to be expertise involved within the AEA or the accredited energy firms of different DCs, and most of the decisions or when the formats or even the Form SC as it or forms which are for PET evaluation are formed, the auditors are not associated, and in turn a lot of pitfalls do happen. We come across when we go and evaluate that yes, this should have been done, this modification should have been done. So that is one point which I think way forward, that now suggestions from the auditors who are involved in really scrutinizing all the formats, what difficulties and what improvements need to be done should be taken up sector-wise. And I think we will definitely take a score on that. Second thing is about the e-certs. Now we all know that e-certs, yes, conceptually it is good that there is nothing to be shared as terms of subsidy or something from the government. It is a self-sustaining market mechanism where you have buyers and seller, but the price, the way it has gone, and I think hats off to all the DCs and industry that everybody is aggressively taking up this energy efficiency program, and it has resulted in surplus of e-certs than the demand, and obviously the rates have fallen. As you know, last time it was only about 200 rupees is what you are selling e-certs, which is make it very, very attractive, not very attractive actually. And I'm happy that last time I think Minister announced in one of the forums that to make it more attractive, what they're going to do is possibly club it up with the carbon credits. So you will have e-certs, and these e-certs will also be qualifying for carbon credits. And I think that will make a big boost to making things a little more attractive. One more thing which need to be emphasized is most of the time when we go, we find that the metering and monitoring quality is very, very poor in industry. Even we carry our portable instruments, etc. But the metering, monitoring, the provisions are not there. Enough, the measuring distances are not adequate for flow measurements and things of this nature. So what is important is now people are going in for DCs, etc. But still, there are a lot of areas where metering and monitoring needs to be done. And for that, unfortunately, we find that most of these sophisticated meters, even for the auditors, are all imported. There is hardly anybody who's Indian. And the Indian manufacturers also are actually matching the price with the imported landed price. And there's a lot of duties involved in that. So government must come through to provide these good sophisticated metering and measuring instruments first at a very low cost, or maybe under the initiative of Made in India, Make in India. I think there should be a lot of incentives given for this import substitution, because most of the sophisticated instruments, even for the auditors, and let not auditors, even for the industry, you have most of such sophisticated instruments coming in from abroad. So that's one point that needs to be taken up, that there has to be some duty attractive mechanism, and also there has to be some maybe income tax exemption or something on this investments which is done into these kind of metering and measuring instruments, because they don't produce anything, but they make you more efficient. And if you have to really improve efficiencies, you have to provide some mechanism to the industry which will make it more attractive for them to go in for this. I would also like to share that yes, energy and water, but unfortunately, again, as you all know, that water is another very good thing which has to be preserved. And already there is an act which has come, but they are all parallel acts. When we go for audit, we obviously do the water balance, energy balance, material balance. But this is not under the purview of accredited energy auditors to undertake. Only about 4 agencies have been given this purview. I think all accredited energy auditors should also be authorized to undertake this water audit, which they are very much familiar. They have all wherewithals and instruments. Another very, very important, that if we have to really enlarge the horizon of this audits and cover up more industries, there are many industries which are not falling under the pad, but they consume more, energy. It could be in different sectors of chemical, or very specifically some smaller sectors or MSME units. So to cover them up, what should be done initially is, there is already a mechanism in place where every limited industry has to go for in the balance sheet. They have to report what energy conservation measure they have taken and how this new schemes they have implemented. Now, this is being certified by a chartered accountant who is a non-technical guy. So what normally people do is just prepare a paper, maybe cut paste, and attach it as a part of the balance sheet. I very strongly recommend that now BE or the concerned Ministry of Company Affairs should take it up, and all these should be certified by accredited energy auditing agencies. Now that will actually enlarge the scope and also ensure that yes, all good, right things are reported into the balance sheet, because all energy saving measures and whatever achievements they have done, whatever investments they have made, have to be certified, by accredited energy auditor. That will also be a good part into this effort of energy efficiency improvement. One more parameter which is there as a renewable energy. Now we know there are net zero buildings which have come up. Similarly, there'll be some net zero industries might come in, the way people are going in for a solar energy or wind farm, or the alternate waste to energy schemes, etc. Already the RPO is there in place that you have to have maybe a wind and the solar energy put together is about 15.5% was what was the commitment last year, but this has to increase. Secondly, in the GTG, the get-to-get boundary as they define in the DC, I very strongly feel that if somebody puts a renewable energy setup, now that part of the energy should be exempted from counting into their MTOE. But unfortunately, despite that fact, though it is said that okay, yes, it will be done, but it has not been implemented because there's no provision in the forms where they say that is this renewable energy, like people are doing now, rooftop solars within the premises. Now that energy is actually not from fossil fuels, so should be given if it is beyond their RPO. Now RPO, yes, there's a mandatory commitment that they have to fulfill, but beyond RPO, if they have installed some solar energy or some more, then I think they should qualify for getting them more incentive, because that is what will make them net zero. Couple of more things about upgrading the skills of accredited energy auditors or the energy auditors is there are a lot of softwares, because now people have to do a lot of simulations. So all these softwares for simulation, let's say you do building simulation, you do maybe power plant, Epsilon, where you can really optimize various parameters. That is what is required. Now, these kind of software should be made available free of cost by be it to the accredited energy auditors, or they can have a license and give these licenses, sub-licenses to accredited energy auditors, so that they can really optimize and help industry wherever they're going. All big power plants can avail of this benefit for the optimization. One more step that is a way forward would be a remote audit. Now, if you have good amount of instrumentation in place, you have a IoT system in place, you have a cloud-based computing and all parameters. So sitting in office, you can gather those parameters. You have a good access to the softwares available. You plug into that and try to see where are the possibilities of. So at least all A categories. Now, how do you motivate the DCs to go in for such kind of instrumentation? Is yes, you really reduce the rate of import duty. You really subsidize them so that they have more investment into this, and there could be a income tax exemption or a duty exemption, both kind of incentives that can be given for such kind of instrumentation, not only for the auditors but also for the industry, because if they put it, then only the auditors sitting here at some place, because the COVID also has forced many of the agencies have already said, many of the tenders, I'm really happy to see some of them have said that yes, we will accept remote monitoring, but that was part of a MNV. But if you're talking of energy audit, yes, I think that also can be done, provided we have access to all the data online here, we can see, and then, so that kind of a mechanism we should permit. Right now they have to physically move, you have to have presence of 4 persons, expert, etc. But if you have already, good expertise availed, then I think that is what requires to be permitted. One more suggestion that I would like to put forth before this forum is the quality of audits that we are doing. Yes, B has really put in a good effort. We find that yes, they have really created a formatted, report that what all it should contain. But again, to what extent it is, followed, how effectively they have really made use of those each of the the major energy consumers and how they evaluate it has to be done. And finally, one more suggestion is there are a lot of retrofits which are seeing in the market, and I'm sure a lot of them will keep coming in. Now, these retrofits are very important. There has to be some section or department, just like you have this, efficiency certification I1, 2, 3. Similarly, for retrofits, there has to be a body which really evaluates this and says that these are fly-by-night operators and this is good for nothing. But otherwise, what happens is this retrofit guys, they will come in, they have some references from some place coming in, and they'll say, sir, these are all has been done. So they'll keep on selling 1 or 2 items. You try one, but you will say, okay, it is not successful, he's already been paid. So if there is a mechanism where they really check and find that yes, some retrofits are good, they can be implemented, and then there has to be just like incentive in terms of accelerated depreciation forwarded to such of these which are already certified as a good retrofits for a particular application. Of course, there has to be a warning or a kind of a pitfalls that one has to take care while putting a retrofit, that what is suitable on this and what is not suitable on this. Just like your VFD, you say, okay, put VFD everywhere, fine, it's really good, but there have to be a motor which is complying with the, which is compatible with the VFD. So things of this nature should be very well known to the guy who is really putting in. And if there is some case or some approval given by an authority and there is already under incentive, I think it will make a big difference. So with this, I would like to end my talk, and if there are any questions, yes, I'll be happy to share with the rest of the people. Thank you. Over to you, Swami.
Thank you, sir. I welcome once again. Yes.
Soumya, actually, I hope we have come to the panelist. So, good evening, everybody. I'm Vibhu Swain, General Secretary of Indian Association of Energy Management Professionals. Now, there is a huge request coming from all the attendees to hear Sri Sunil Khandare, Director, Bureau of Energy Efficiency. Now, when we are all celebrating EC Act 2001, on the eve of EC Act Day, we all love to hear Sri Sunil Khandare. I request, sir, it will be really a nice surprise for you also. But kindly, sir, if you speak few words on the EC Act 2001 and your personal views, and will be obliged and to hear that. Kindly, sir. Sri Sunil Khandare, Director, Bureau of Energy Efficiency. Khandare, sir.
Khandare, sir, are you there?
He can unmute and his video can be himself. He can do that.
Yes, Khandare sir here only. Sir, kindly unmute if it is you can hear me.
So, in the meanwhile, till he join, because time is also limited and we are already overshooting. So,
okay, we can take a few questions. We will love to hear Khandare sir after that.
Just actually, the various kinds of points have been raised by our eminent panelists, starting from Vinayak sir, and then Mr. Susar and Mr. Gupta, Pradeep ji, and Hirashri ji. Everybody has told various kinds of points, and it started with that how it evolved actually. That PAT scheme has come and standard labeling. ESL has formed as a ESCO, and the institutionalization of cadre and everything. And this actually, what some point has been thrown, that it still requires various kinds of interventions. After 20 years, we are now telling that these are the loopholes and these are the. So I take it. This is my point, that I take it as that there are no loopholes. When any system starts, we have to keep on monitoring it and keep on improving on that. So it's a time that we can more improve on that. When NMEEE, just Susar has mentioned that it has come, then ESL was involved. So that what it means, after 10 years of EC Act, ESL has came. So what is this? This means that something is being done continuously. So now various kinds of things has been told that, for example, this various kinds of just in hearing that energy and water should be not be separated. This is a very valid point. This can be advocated, and that's where the forums like IEMP and Indian Institution of Accredited Energy, or it has all these forums should come up, that so that we may advocate these things. So I will just if Naxal can just tell us that he was just telling about this thing, and that robust ecosystem should be there. When SDAs are there, what kind of empowerment may be there, so that this what BE is doing centrally can be equally going to all other sites. If you can throw some light, sir, then it will be good for all of us.
Thank you, Anilji. I think I was also going through this chart box of the questions which are thrown by various eminent, esteemed delegates. And B was supposed to speak on the subject, and most of the questions are related to that. But also I spent quite a good time in B also. So okay, so I can highlight few of the issues or the concerns which are shown by the delegates. But let me come to the point which you asked about the decentralized approach or the institutional approach. I believe that before I say, let's agree to disagree on many points on this, whether on this provisions of the act and how it has impacted. But nevertheless, it is also good to see that it has created a market transformation. It has created certain kind of momentum in the energy efficiency movement in the country in the last 2 decades. That is no doubt about that. How extent it has been done, that is the question, or that is the debate. Now, my point here is that the enforcement is very, very important thing if at all this act or the provisions of the acts are going to be successful. Whether it is measurement of, the verifications of the PAT, or even the inspection procedures which are laid down. I think the section 55 of the EC Act talks about how to do the inspection by the state, for the standard and labeling program and designated consumers, even for the buildings which are covered under the ECBC. Now you imagine, that's the point I was advocating many a times at various forums also. Decentralized approach is very, very necessary. First of all, we talked about the state designated agencies who have been given enormous authority or power to enforce the provisions under the Act. Then who are these designated agencies? They are actually given the additional responsibility of some existing entities like renewable energy development agencies, or maybe chief electrical inspectorate or something like this. Except Kerala, which has got the energy management center, which is a dedicated or a standalone setup to enforce this thing. That kind of approach is needed. And unfortunately, I am also along with you to show my concern here that even after 2 decades of Energy Conservation Act, we have not yet set up that institution. And if that is not there in a country, a large country like ours, how are you going to enforce this? So, B alone cannot do all these things. We set up the things. So it is actually, as a IAMP, members and all, we have to actually push it at the state level. State has been given. See, Energy Conservation Act just gives the direction or the put of the provisions. It's a policy mechanism, and the policy has to be adopted by the states. So the much push should be required at that level. So that is where the that thing can be possible. The other point I would also like to highlight is that the utilization of the energy auditors or managers or some of the accredited energy auditors, and very valid questions are coming. I really appreciate that. But I was just talking about some, about the market and all these things. The market is large, but we have not captured that. See, it is not only the only energy audit and prepare a report and throw it to the table of the client or somewhere. In my view, to achieve this thing, taking it to the next level of the implementation is very, very important. And that is where the real investment grade energy audits, by bringing the financing models, that is very important. Because here, in this case, the implementation, the moment I talk about the implementation, is the financing. Who is going to actually finance it? If you see the worldwide ESCO market, that is not being pushed up unless otherwise there is an innovative or a very conducive financing mechanism. We tried in ESL, this street lighting national program. We invested about 4,500 crores. Do you know what is the kind of challenge we are facing from the repayments? But it is an energy efficiency program which saved so much. 1.2 crore street lights have been installed in about 1,600 ULBs. Countries benefited. That is one part. But the other part, as an investor, as a service provider, if I put that money, I should get back my money also. and it is already well proven that the energy, the investment will have to be paid back from the monetized energy saving. Everything is spelled out, everything is well proven and all these things, but still the payment is not coming. This Energy Conservation Act must provide the provision of a security payment recovery mechanism. So then only you can say that industrial energy efficiency or even the commercial sector energy efficiency programs will pick up. And that will create a market, that will create a job, that will create everything. So I believe the business models and the repayment mechanisms, that is there. And last week also, we have a lot of review meetings in the ministry also. And we are highlighting how this can be channelized. You may be one ESCO, we are also ESCO. There are and in India, I think B has already empaneled more than 120 ESCOs. Do you know how many are actually really active in the field? No, I don't think it will be more than 20 or so. And that is where the problem is. Getting the access to the, financing is not a problem, but access to the financing is also a problem. So the financial institutions have to be kept on board, and the financing mechanisms have to be put on board. So now B or the SDAs, and probably here B, I can say, apart from enforcing and ensuring all these kind of standard and labeling or PAD programs, energy conservation building code programs, and all these things, that is one part. The other part is to develop and monitor and standardize the business models. That is very, very important. So I think that is how we may look forward to the next 5 years or 10 years of the energy efficiency program. To the ladies and gentlemen, those who are listening here, we are coming out with the programs like industrial energy efficient pumping program, and also chiller replacement program. These would be the massive programs where we are targeting about 500 to 800 crore investment by 23-24. So definitely, I assure you here that, because these programs will be launched very soon, maybe within a month's time, all the design aspects have been done. But as an ESCO, will be putting that. But putting that investment. So to do these things, that would be massive studies required, empanelment of the agencies would be required, who would be helping us to do the baseline studies and monitoring and verification, because the business models are something different. And I was also looking towards this chart box. Somebody was telling about the online or data management system, online capturing of data. That's a very good option, and that is where we are going. When we are going ahead with industry 4 kind of platforms, these are the necessary requirements as far as an ESCO investments are concerned. So I can say that in the next few years you will be seeing massive investments in the industrial energy efficiency program, because the industries have no option. You have done a wonderful job in doing their energy audits and so on and so forth, but now the investment is coming up, and the industry does not want to put money just for their own. They want to build up as their capex, and the capex has to be borne by somebody, and that is where the ESCO companies will come forward. And at that time, there must be a provision of that my investment is safeguarded. So there must be a provision under the Act that the ESCO or the investment, how these repayment mechanisms are ensured, whether from a central route, whether from any risk sharing mechanisms, those are there. I'm not going to discuss about that, but it is not covered under the EC Act. If that is not there, that is the missing link where it actually creates a kind of hindrance in the energy efficiency implementation programs. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. You just touched about that security of payment recovery mechanism, which was touched by Mr. Gupta also, that protection of ESCO should be there. So, and you partially touched about that risk sharing mechanism also. That I just want to say that partial risk sharing facility is there by the SID B, but that is to be enacted. If it is enacted in this EC Act, then it will give it more robust mechanism. This partial risk sharing facility is there with for which we ESCOs can avail, so that we can discuss later also. And this so various kinds of things are there. And I just one point I was just reading here in the chat box, that EC Act has come to commercial building. The ECBC is there for commercial buildings. Somebody is asking that the residential building should also come in the picture. So the Act can be brought in, but that is that implementation always comes into the picture, that how implementation will be done. So that when we go for any residential and anything, that always happens by the consumer mindset. For example, this Ujala program was brought by ESL. Then this was the consumers of the residential people only, normal consumers, which bought those bulbs. So because by the market transformation and demand aggregation, that price was brought to that level. So that becomes became the program for the normal consumers, general residential building also. So that kind of the energy efficient fans are coming, and energy efficient ACs are coming. That way things start to be brought up. So that one thing is that act should do something, another is thing other market should also do something. 200 billion market is there, as somebody is I think like that. So market is already there. So ecosystem is to be developed, that we are already discussing here. And one point actually, I think. Yes, this IoT based industry 4.0 and simulation thing. So how do you think that some disasters, how do you think that this can be done actually, that free of cost availability of these kinds of simulation? Because there must be some mechanism also to, and some security for BE also, to have that security for bringing in these kinds of simulation model and then giving it to auditors. Some mechanism for that
actually,
are also there, na?
Actually, this is we are doing all audits on behalf of BE. Let us understand this very clearly. They have empaneled us. We are accredited on behalf of BE. We are carrying out this audit. And if the quality of audits have to improve, I'm sure each accredited auditor must have at least a guy or two who are well versed with the software. It's just providing software is not enough. You have to have a guy who is familiar with it, because when you do simulation, you have to map the existing facility into the simulation model. That itself takes time. So from the DC side also, there have to be some people who will map this, and then we have to cross check that yes, they have really mapped it properly, because you can always, this will be some loopholes in the software also. You can plug in 1 or 2 points here and find that okay, it has made a difference in your MTOEs. So that is where the quality of audits have to be improved. Now the software, just like a platform, you give a password to, how we are operating portals of eCerts or the PetNet. It's through a password and system. So B has that mechanism. Only accredited auditors have been issued, or DCs have been issued that particular password. For example, if it is Epsilon, let's say B has one, and you can access those who are in the power plant segment. They are provided access. Those who are power plant, I mean, paper guy may not be interested in that power plant business unless he has his own captive power plant. Fine. So that is the mechanism through which you can create a portal on this, where you have a software, and accredited auditors could be given a passwords, which are protected, and you can access, because it is one-to-one between B and the accredited auditors. So that is one mechanism. But very important point is, unless the industry is putting, now everywhere things are going in for Wi-Fi. Now people are not, even meters are coming in Wi-Fi, right? You understand that a lot of this technological with 5G coming in, I'm sure most of the people will have no wiring, because the wire gets cut by, rats or rodents, and then you have this thermography, we do it because the connections are loose, etc. Now you will have a Wi-Fi. So another set of challenges will come in. There will be a lot of interference. Like you have a network dropping. At that point of time, we must also understand what are the challenges and how do we overcome that, and to what extent we can give really a scope, a room for basically due diligence to be done, that to ensure that yes, whatever is coming in. Because to share one particular example now, for as far as the pollution control things are concerned, people are very clear that you have to mount, and now it's centrally monitored by GPCB or CPCB depending on what level of a power plant you are. So you have to install those, and it is all monitored online. But you see, there are still mechanisms. People who are, the transducers which are converting, or transponders which are converting this, people are playing at that level. To change those frequencies, change those, values, and then you get a value which is, yes, within the acceptable limit. So we have to make sure that, yes, we have enough, because this will happen. You know, you don't want to pay a penalty. People will find ways and means out, but you have to be equally smart to know where they can play in. So this level of education to accredited auditors, I'm sure only about 10% of what has been done. Maybe people know about this kind of IATA and how to really monitor this. Others may not know. This accreditation has to come from BE. They should provide train our guys in the software. At least every auditor has, one or two guys who are trained. You have building simulation now. ECBC is coming in. Not everybody will get into that. But those who are doing this, building envelope analysis simulation, they should be very, very well clear. And the DCA should map first, because like we do M&V, they have to map all that into the software. This software, he has to say, okay, fine, we are now authorizing this software, everybody has to use. Like DOE has given a free software, eQuest, like, the people map this and you can do it free of cost. Similar mechanism should come into foray.
Got your point, sir. Got your point, sir.
Yeah. Here, I would like to add, Mr. Anil.
Yogesh, too. Yes.
Yeah, I'm Yogesh here.
Yes,
I would like to add, Mr. Anil, that this future is for the more and more automation and virtual world kind of the things.
Yes.
So sooner or later, we have to introduce this. Like in Japan, in 1979, the act has been passed, Energy Conservation Act. And later, as on date, after 6th Amendment, they are monitoring each and every consumption bit of each and every household, just to control the demand and control the energy conservation, consumption and all those things. So, of course, we have to use the technologies, and the things can be started from the accredited auditors end, because that is the society or community which is a little more trained than the normal society about the energy, as long as energy is concerned over there.
So it is nice. Actually, I would also like to say that in ESL also, we are now focusing on IoT-based simulations and the IoT-based connectivity. Industry 4.0, we are focusing, and we are now going to monitor all the lighting systems, which 1.2 crore lighting system which we have already installed. That we will be monitoring through the IoT-based system. We are already focusing on that, finding partners for that. So it's the forum now. If somebody is interested, we can join hands also. See how to go for the pilot projects in this. So I would just like to say that I will just now, Ganaik ji had to had some other commitment, so he has just left. So anyway, quickly we can take up some point. I think Mr. Lohar ji wanted to say something. If you want to say something, then please say.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yeah, unfortunately, we is not addressing that is this is always happening. That's good. So on the 20th birthday.
Some technical problem is there, I think.
So it is always technical, sir.
No, as anyway.
Yeah, it is always technical. So more than 50 energy auditors coming for the purpose online. Is it not a big deal?
More than 20?
More than 50 plus auditors coming at the same time on one platform for certain purpose. Is it not a big deal for BE?
It's a big deal. And
yeah, it's big deal. It should be appreciated by someone.
After 1.5 hours also, the participants are 64. It was around something
so
like that.
It should be concern of the country we are talking. It is not something market we are talking. Rather, we have been diverted towards market. You look at the market and go and market yourself. Is this the approach we are approaching the energy saving?
Yeah.
Is this the approach we are approaching the energy saving?
Sir, I would like to add here. It is actually this event is being organized by IMP and Indian Association.
So whoever organizing, so for them it is a capital.
Sir,
it is asset to access at a single point.
In fact, we have almost 75 plus attendees at one time.
Yeah.
And
Bureau
is kind enough to send the delegates. Directors are also here, and we have requested. In the next time, definitely we have not could not, due to shortage of time, we could not properly invite them. And next time, definitely we'll try.
Whatever maybe, sir, it is from our side. Maybe we are short, but from their side, it was opportunity to meet the such people there.
Okay, got your point, sir.
I think here we let us not.
Yeah. It's okay.
Because B has actually responded quickly. I had sent a mail, and within an hour I got a reply that, from the Director General that he's on leave, but he will be sending his officials. And Mr. Khandare and others were present. So let us
Yeah,
not make
his
that
presence, he is always present, but we are not getting answers even after 20 years. That is also one of the problem, right?
Yeah,
So
actually, as per
if
my
we take,
understanding,
I have only one basic question. I will end, sir. I have only one basic question. In last 20 years, because to implement the law of energy conservation, how much energy we have spoiled? Is it audited
no,
to this against the saving?
Yes, yes. Points are well taken. I was just reading the chat also.
Yeah.
So the idea is very well taken and it has been discussed also. Now it's we
here,
only we have to formulate it, and now we have to go forward in that.
Chaudhary sir,
Yes, yes, yes.
Chaudhary sir,
हाँ बोलिए sir.
ऐसा है कि we have to also consider that there are many thousands of certified energy auditors and energy managers who are left out of the whole process, and we have given suggestions, 8 suggestions, and we are looking forward for response from B. But here again, I felt that the problem does not lie with the B, Loharji.
Yeah.
I felt that the problem is not with the B. Problem is not with. Problem is somewhere else, and we have to address that. That where is the problem? Certainly, it is not with B. I was fighting with B for many years. Then slowly I realized that actually the problem lies up at higher level. So we need to somehow discuss and bring out it in a manner which is acceptable to all. So
Yeah, that is okay.
and
Let us.
and another thing is, if you see the definition of the energy conservation, I mean purpose, it defines like this: it's an act to provide for efficient use of energy and its conservation, and for matters connected therewith or incidental thereto. Now, this was the main objective of the EC Act. Now, here, when it was conservation mentioned in the Act, but in the implementing body, name is given Bureau of Energy Efficiency. So, if you see the energy pyramid, at the bottom of the pyramid is conservation, and next comes efficiency. So both were integrated very nicely in the Act conservation and in the implementation name efficiency. And B slogan also say that energy is life. Let us conserve it. Now here so far we have forgotten the conservation. Most of us are only focused on efficiency and other things, but the real spirit of conservation is forgotten, which was the actual, in letter and spirit, conservation means much broader. And if you see the pyramid at the bottom, it is not just about switching off lights and fans when not in use. Conservation is much broader word, and it has come from the forest conservation, when the first time conservators of forests were appointed. In the same spirit, conservation of energy has to be taken up, and we cannot deny human intervention. Every time technology will not help. I'm very sorry, industry and this and that. Too much of artificial intelligence, too much of machine, this type of thing is not going to help. Thousands of certified energy or energy measures cannot be trained like that. As Mr. Som is rightly saying, you cannot have just simply some software and expect it can be. I know how the softwares are manipulated. Why we are having so much dependence on softwares and technology? So totally, the purpose of conservation is lost. So kindly consider all these things. We cannot have only goody talks. That's my submission. Thank you very much.
Yes, you're right. So it's time now actually.
Can I share?
Yes, so nice.
Hello.
Sure.
Can you hear me?
Sure.
This is CV Shastri. I was a technical consultant energy department. A lot of discussions and lot of advice were given in the meeting. Can a session or a advice panel be constituted to implement code as well as other things to the SDA, State Designated Agency?
Sir, your voice is breaking. If you will switch off the video, then maybe voice may be better.
Okay. Now, okay, I think you can hear me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now it is better.
Yeah, all these discussions were very useful, and the suggestions which were in panel is also good. So it should be implemented in a proper form by the SDA, because in Orissa we only do little. Our SDA is the chief electrical inspector, and he has done things. But only thing is to be implemented. Suggestions should come from higher. So this meeting suggestions should be circulated to all SDA so that proper investigations or whatever it is can be done. And they should also start attending such type of video conferences. Thank you.
Any thought? Actually, the voice is still
No, I'll able to answer that. He's Sri Sastri. He's working as a consultant. He helps the Odisha government in a very big way. And his view is that why not to consider do this type of panel discussion? It is actually helpful, and he's also suggesting to strengthen the SDAs so that the EC Act can be really enforced and implemented in its spirit, and it will help the country. Sir, your thought is quite well appreciated, and definitely the purpose of doing such type of panel discussion where all the energy professionals from IMP and all the accredited energy auditors are here, and also Bureau of Energy Efficiency, SDA, and Bureau of Energy Efficiency, ESL, everybody is here. The thought process is there. Definitely, collectively we will able to do certain good things.
And already the point has been raised by Mr. Ganayak as well as by me, that it is the time when a lot of activities to be expanded from the B side, and that is possible if the extended hands are strengthened. And currently the extended hands are SDAs only. Of course, the SDAs should be given appropriate support and right professionals, so that they actually can facilitate, they supervise, they can control. All these are expected from the SDAs actually.
Right.
And that is where actually if some opinion are there, and if something is to be propelled, this kinds of forum really comes into picture. They should take the role to propagate these things and put the things in the right spirit also, in the right forum, to be and whomever it matters.
I have a suggestion, like, when you have to strengthen SDAs, I think most of the accredited energy auditing agencies or auditors are spread all across the country. I think the BE, because we represent BE, right? We, on behalf of BE, we are doing everything with the DCs. So even SDA, they could possibly approach MPAN and try to seek help from accredited energy auditing agencies who are spread all across wherever they want to support them. I think this could be a good way to start with, because ultimately in isolation, what SDA will do, what I am given to understand is that only BE has awarded this to about 3 or 4 agencies to provide some manpower support to SDAs. Now what happens?
You are right, Somji, लेकिन क्या ना B से ही start करना पड़ेगा अभी. Instructions तो वहीं से आने पड़ेंगे. Yes, you are supposed to.
4 agency क्यों? Accredited agencies are 50.
Yes, appropriate professionals are BEs only actually, but the things to be started and initiated from the B end, and appropriate regulations need to be changed accordingly.
Okay.
One thing more, sir. I want to say something.
Yes.
Actually, this SDA and this GEDA, BREDA, like this, it should be separated. This is my submission. Actually, state designated agencies must be separately installed. So there should be separate departments like Kerala. Then that will help this way some more efficiently.
Actually, there are various loose points which are to be strengthened actually. So these kinds of forums are bringing that kinds of points only. So it's very good that these kinds of things have come. For example, one very good point has come that instrument monitoring instrument should be made in India. So something must be done for these kinds of things also. And MSME requires because I think Mr. Gupta, you are telling these things. Because 57% of GDP is by MSME only. So one kind of study can be there after 20 years. Before 20 years, what was the MSME's performance as energy efficiency was, and how much we have got success in these 20 years.
Actually,
that will pave way ki how what still to be done, what new things can be done, because
actually, Anilji, I worked with the 3 United Nations projects, UNDP or UNIDO funded projects, and currently also I'm working with a GIZ funded project. Then I closely seen the paper industries, small paper industries, and small sugar mill and small steel mills and all those things. They are wasting money like anything, and not because they're intentionally doing that. They don't have competency or capability. They don't have technically competent managers in their this shop floor personals, in fact. And second, the problem is, even if the auditors like us place them that this is the way of saving, but they don't have the funds or funding capabilities. So that is what is required to MSMEs. Then only like a brick making cluster or ceramic making cluster or steel making cluster, they are highly energy intensive, but they need some support. And similarly, so many other process industries are there. Once you see over there, yes, definitely SIDBI keep on doing some activities, or some MSMEs department is also supporting some way in the form of Z or some Z scheme or something like that. But I personally feel lot of support is required for the MSME industries actually, because energy comes in their lower priorities. So that should come in the front to understand that saving energy is making them competent globally actually. That is what is required.
Yes. Actually,
Okay, Anil Kumarji, I have a point. I think it's 10 past 7. I think we should close it actually. Otherwise, you will excuse me. I have to go. So please excuse me. Thank you very much for this platform, and I thank everybody.
Thank you. And I think we will be closing within 5 minutes only.
Yes, we will continue after a week or something like that. Similarly, we can have a discussion. But now everybody has to rest.
Yes, everybody has to rush, and it has been very good discussion, and it has opened many threads. So everybody will be having many kinds of things in the mind. So
Anilji, you can possibly share kind of a synopsis of whatever question answers are there. So I think it will be good.
Our closing time is 7:30. Kindly note our closing
time is not 7:30, 6:30, no?
7:30 a closing time.
Sir, it was 6:30, sir.
5:30 to 7:30.
5:30 to 6:30. Please read the law.
Anyway, it's okay.
Sir, before closing, I have one suggestion. Sir, before closing, I have one suggestion. So, okay, 20-year pass. Now, how we will be celebrating next year? That is important. So, what is the way ahead? We should give our expertise or some kind of opinion sheet or something where we can start this blog or something. How we wish to celebrate next year.
इसमें तो हमारे सूसा भी बताएंगे. Susar, we have given suggestion number 1 and 2. Kindly elaborate. That is the way forward best. एक चीज है, प्रदीप जी ने बोला था कि देखिए नीड आया, नीड has come and then ECAT has come and it is evolving. So अभी जो बात कर रहे हैं वो उन्हीं की बात कर रहे हैं हम लोग, कैसे इवॉल्व करना है ये सब है.
मेरे पास एक सजेशन है. तो एक्चुअली सजेशन 1 और 2 का है मिला हुआ. What I now I'm revising it, encourage with the presence of accredited energy auditors and their association leaders, Mr. Gupta and Mr. Som and all. We had given suggestion 1 whereby we requested BE to appoint energy efficiency coordinators at ward level. All CACMs who are employed somewhere, they can be utilized for that. That was suggestion 1. Suggestion 2 was for those who are small, like one-man army or one small private limited company, who cannot take part in tendering, so they can be involved in the suggestion 2. Now I am revising these 2 suggestions in a clubbing into 1, where accredited energy auditors will be happy. My elder brothers, that we can put it like that. For under every one accredited energy auditor, BE can put nominally some CEMs, and they can work as ward coordinator and other things like that. So the real institutional structure then will develop, whereby where whoever wants to actually get involved will get opportunity. Those who have taken exam only for certificate or only for some incentives or this and that, they can then easily be left behind. But those who are really interested to contribute, there is a need for a mechanism, and that mechanism we have given under this suggestion. Now here accredited energy auditors can be added, and the CACMs can be put for each ward, for each district, like that. The respective AEA will have a army of I mean, it will be all voluntary or some mix of voluntary and commercial, but this is the way forward I am seeing. And if it can be done, next year we can celebrate in a much bigger strength, maybe 1,000. Thank you very much.
Great.
And thank you. And Vibhuji, I will now request that it's time to wind up. And I think various kinds of points are there. So we have collected those points, so that we may have some way forward also. So it has been very encouraging discussion, and I always find those discussions very encouraging and very promising, in which we have to rush up to wind up. So it is like that only. So and before Vibhuji will thank you all, I am sincerely thankful to everyone and sincerely thankful to, in fact, IMP and the Indian Association and Accredited Association, that this kind of initiatives they have brought in, especially to Suji and Vibhuji, which they will not thank themselves. So just over to you, Vibhuji, for formal vote of thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Anil Saab. And I thank you all. In fact, it is a very wonderful discussions. And let me tell you that in the meantime, we have captured all the photographs, we have captured all the queries of the attendees, and we have listed in our IMP WhatsApp group. We shall also be sharing the Indian Association of Accredited Energy Auditor WhatsApp group. And being a General Secretary of IMP as well as a executive member of Indian Association of Accredited Energy Auditors, it will be my privilege to thank you all. I thank Sri SP Gadnaik for delivering a wonderful speech on the occasion of ECR Day. Also, I like to thank our chief mentor, Sri Sunil Sood, for sharing the background of ECR, how the ECR come into picture. Then my sincere thanks go to Sri Som Ji, Executive Committee member of Indian Association of Accredited Auditor, for sharing his valuable insight on the innovations and technology requirement for enforcement of EC Act 2001. Nevertheless, Sri Vegas Chandra Gupta Ji, who was very kind enough to be present here in spite of his busy schedule and delivering a very wonderful speech, and he is the General Secretary of Indian Association of Accredited Energy Auditors. And our mentor, our philosophy ex-past President Sri Pradeep Kumar Ji for doing a wonderful job and sharing his valuable thoughts. And I also thank Somya and background Dr. Somu. And finally, it is Anil Sir effort which has brought this figure, which have brought all of us, almost 75 participants have joined this meet. And Anil Sir has wonderfully moderated the session. Not only he delivered the keynote address, I also quite thankful to him. And on the occasion of ECR Day, I assure from IMP definitely, and also from the Association of Accredited Energy Auditor, we shall put all the queries, we shall write to Bureau, different SDA, PMOs, Minister, CMOs, and different department. And exactly the mandate says that for enforcement of SDA, we need little bit of more amendment in the EC Act 2001. It was amended in 2010. Some amendment is required. And definitely there is a very big market is there. Lot of energy efficiency project needs to be taken up at MSME level, for which a mandatory provision has to be there. I also appreciate the concern of the attendees that yes, EC Act is not so powerful because of its voluntary nature for the initial 5 years. had it been like Electricity Act 2003, which was a mandatory act from its enactment, then situation might have been different. But definitely, Bureau of Energy Efficiency is doing a great work, and they are doing for MSME, they are doing for AEA. They have big plan ahead. They are going to implement a lot of amendment also. I am sure Bureau of Energy Efficiency, ESL, all the energy professionals, whether it is CA, CM, or AEA, will be definitely be beneficial for the new upcoming EC Act amendment. Our purpose is to consider ideas and submit our considered views to all the government stakeholders. I thank you all. Thank you all the person from. I special thank to Sri Sunil Khandare, Director Bureau of Energy Efficiency, who was spared his valuable time. DGB could not come up, but definitely we shall officially request Bureau of Energy Efficiency in the next times. Thank you all, and thank you all the participants.
Thanks to you, Vibhuji, for coordinating such a nice forum and this panel. I think a little higher frequency is required for conducting such a meeting, in fact, so that we are addressing, we are able to address the issues from the auditor side, as well as we are able to take up these matters to BE as well. So jointly, definitely, we can do a lot of things. Thanks again. Yeah.
And Vibhuji, the participant reached to 89 one time.
Yes, correct.
For many time it was 84 and something. I noticed that.
This is wonderful. This is wonderful, and credit goes wonderful. People have loved to hear it, and we continue to see. And on 2nd of October, we are also planning to celebrate Gandhiji Jayanti, and on issue of sustainability and energy efficiency.
So we may have one more meeting on the 2nd, because everybody will be free.
Second meeting will be very much sort of very hard related.
Like drafting to agenda, you can say. Like what are the issues from the auditor side, and what can be taken up to be, in fact. So that will be better, I think.
Okay. Thanks to the BE Friends Group also.
Thank you,
I would like to thank BE Friends Group, comprising of Mr. Mahesh Lohar and Mr. Pramod Daspute and others. Thank you very much.
Many professionals are there. I'm just
Dr.
finding.
Anil Omkar, a lot of friends from BE Friends Group, we have members here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Soumya.
Thank you everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.